In this video, we will discuss real and disturbing events associated with Halloween. While this holiday is known for its fun and spooky atmosphere, sometimes truly frightening things happen on this night that are far from harmless. We will delve into mysterious murders and unexplained disappearances that are more chilling than any scary movie or haunted house. We approach these stories with respect and caution, focusing on their educational and informative value. Please be aware that some moments may be emotionally intense and could cause discomfort. We encourage you to stay vigilant and cautious during this time of year, especially regarding your safety and that of your loved ones. If you or anyone you know is struggling, please don't hesitate to reach out for support from professionals. Below, you will find 5 mysterious stories and disappearances related to Halloween. Thank you for your understanding. On Halloween night in 1962, a lively party took place at a famous jazz club in San Francisco called the Hungry Eye. The club was known for its vibrant atmosphere, and young people gathered there to dance, drink, and celebrate Halloween. The night was filled with laughter, music, and cocktails, until a sudden tragedy unfolded. As the party continued, some guests began to feel unwell. At first, everyone assumed it was just the alcohol or the excitement. But as the hours passed, their symptoms got worse. Many experienced dizziness, vomiting, and intense stomach pain. Tragically, 7 people lost their lives that night. After the shocking incident, authorities launched an investigation to uncover the cause of the deaths. Tests showed that some of the drinks had been mixed with industrial-grade alcohol, which contained lethal levels of cyanide. It's suspected that someone had accidentally, or perhaps even intentionally, used this toxic substance instead of drink-safe alcohol. Despite an intense investigation, no one was ever held accountable. The source of the contaminated alcohol was never identified, leaving the families and the public without closure. To this day, this event remains one of San Francisco's darkest and most haunting Halloween stories, where an evening of celebration turned into an unforgettable tragedy. On Halloween night in 1974, 8-year-old Timothy O'Brien went trick-or-treating in Pasadena, Texas, with his father, Ronald O'Brien, his sister, and some family friends. Timothy was thrilled as he collected candy from the neighborhood. At one house, the children received a large pixie sticks, a popular powdered candy in a plastic straw, which Timothy was particularly excited about. Little did he know, that piece of candy would lead to a tragic end. When they returned home, Timothy asked if he could eat some of his candy before bed. His father agreed and handed him the pixie sticks. But shortly after eating it, Timothy began complaining of a sharp stomach ache. He soon started vomiting, convulsing, and gasping for air. Within an hour, he tragically passed away. The investigation revealed shocking details. The pixie sticks had been laced with a lethal dose of cyanide. At first, the police were concerned that a random person had distributed poison candy to multiple children, sparking panic in the community. However, when the investigation led back to Ronald, they discovered the chilling truth. Ronald had intentionally given the poison candy to his own son and had taken out life insurance policies on him shortly before Halloween. The motive was financial gain. Ronald O'Brien was eventually found guilty of murdering his son and was sentenced to death. He became infamous as the Candy Man, and his crime left a lasting legacy of fear and caution for parents regarding Halloween treats. His actions deeply impacted Halloween traditions, as families became more vigilant about checking their children's candy, fearing that it could be tampered with. The case remains one of the most haunting and tragic Halloween crimes in American history. On Halloween night in 2001, 21-year-old Cindy Song, a Penn State student, dressed up in a bunny costume and headed out with friends to celebrate the holiday. Cindy enjoyed the night at a local Halloween party, laughing and dancing until the early hours of November 1st. Around 4 a.m., after an evening of fun, her friends dropped her off at her apartment complex. Cindy, seemingly in high spirits, went inside but left her belongings, including her purse, keys, and phone, behind. That was the last time anyone saw her. When Cindy didn't show up to meet friends later or attend her classes, they grew concerned and contacted the police. Initially, investigators thought she might have wandered off, disoriented or confused, after a night of drinking. But as days turned into weeks, they began to suspect foul play. Cindy's belongings were still in her apartment, with no signs of forced entry or struggle, deepening the mystery of her disappearance. In a twist, a man in custody later claimed he had been involved in Cindy's abduction, suggesting that she was targeted, possibly even harmed. However, he later recanted his confession, leaving investigators back at square one with no concrete leads or suspects. Cindy's disappearance remains unsolved, haunting her family, friends, and community. Her case has become one of the most puzzling and chilling mysteries in recent Halloween history, as those who knew Cindy continue to search for answers, hoping to uncover the truth of what happened to her that Halloween night. In October 2015, a Halloween party was in full swing at a rented house in a Kansas suburb. The house was filled with guests in costume, laughter, and music. As the night went on, an unsettling presence entered the party, a man in a creepy, oversized elephant mask. The stranger hadn't been invited, but at first, no one thought much of it. Halloween parties often bring people in unexpected costumes, and many assumed he was a friend of a friend. The man acted strangely, though, making guests uneasy. He wandered around, staring at people from behind the mask, and his behavior became more disturbing as he continued mingling without saying much. Eventually, some guests, feeling uncomfortable, asked him to leave. He left quietly, slipping out the door and disappearing into the night. Not long after, 2 female guests suddenly passed out under suspicious circumstances, and the party quickly descended into confusion. Police were called, and paramedics attended to the women, suspecting they had been drugged. Around the same time, reports began coming in from nearby houses of break-ins and stolen items. The community grew alarmed, suspecting a connection to the masked stranger, though no solid leads emerged. Despite investigations, the man in the elephant mask was never identified. Police questioned numerous guests and neighbors, but no one could offer any clear details about who he might have been. The eerie visitor has since become a chilling piece of local Halloween lore, as residents recalled that mysterious night each Halloween season. To this day, the story of the masked intruder is a reminder of that strange and unsettling night that left more questions than answers. On the evening before Halloween in 1975, 15-year-old Martha Moxley attended a small neighborhood gathering with friends in her quiet, affluent neighborhood in Greenwich, Connecticut. Dressed casually, she enjoyed an evening of light-hearted Halloween fun, visiting with friends who lived nearby. As the gathering wound down, Martha was last seen around 9:30 p.m., heading toward her home just a short walk away. But she never made it back. The next morning, a horrifying discovery was made. Martha's body was found under a tree in her own backyard. She had been brutally beaten to death with a golf club, a weapon that was later identified as coming from a set owned by a family living nearby. The shocking murder sent waves of fear and heartbreak through the tight-knit community. The brutality of the attack, along with the fact that it happened so close to her home, disturbed residents deeply. As investigators delved into the case, they found that the last people to see Martha alive were members of the prominent Skakel family, whose home was just across the street. Suspicions began to focus on the Skakels, given their proximity to the scene and the origin of the golf club. However, despite mounting circumstantial evidence, the investigation would drag on for years without a conviction. The Skakel family's social standing and connections added a layer of intrigue and complexity to the case, drawing national media attention and leaving the community in turmoil. It wasn't until 2002, nearly 3 decades later, that Michael Skakel, a cousin of the Kennedy family, was convicted of Martha's murder. However, the case remained shrouded in mystery and controversy, with many speculating about what truly happened that fateful night. Appeals and additional court hearings followed, with Skakel's conviction being vacated in 2013 before he was eventually released on bail, leaving the final truth about Martha's death uncertain. Today, Martha Moxley's story is a chilling reminder that even the most peaceful neighborhoods can harbor unimaginable dangers. Her murder remains one of Connecticut's most infamous cases, casting a haunting shadow over Halloween for years to come as people continue to search for answers about the tragic events of that Halloween Eve in 1975.